What's up, guys? This is Mayan Gordon. We are here live at 5 again, and today I do not have a guest, so I'm going to be talking to you guys solo. First, as always, I want to give a huge shout out to LinkedIn, to YouTube, and to my Facebook homies. Right now, I get all the comments showing up in the StreamYard. Super exciting. I also figured out I have the ability to click on a comment and add it so that everyone can see the comment that I'm responding to on the screen. That is pretty dope. It is really cool to see these different technologies and softwares constantly improve. So you guys know what to do. If you're watching right now, please post one, where in the world are you watching from? And two, what is one thing that you are grateful for today? Get your grateful comments in, you guys. You're amazing. I'm going to be checking out and pulling up the LinkedIn comments here right now. Even though they show up on my screen here in StreamYard, I always like to see them come in action. Sometimes it doesn't show me the name of the person yet. I always love to give those name shout outs. So today what we're going to be talking about, as I pull these up here, is about me being Jewish and how I just realized through a really interesting conversation that I had with actually a medical nutritional company, why being Jewish has been so particularly impactful in my life in a way that I hadn't even realized literally until this conversation. So I get asked all the time, where's some of my creativity, where's some of my intelligence, where's some of my business savvy and understanding about these social media platforms so in depth comes from? That's a great question. And I've always thought and come back to, I read a lot of books growing up as a kid. And as you're growing up, as you're, in your childhood years, your brain is really still forming in a way where everything you're doing has a great impact on how your brain develops. And so when I always attributed a lot of my creativity and thought process to those early years of fiction reading, of reading the Redwall books where the, forest characters and animals were like fighting against each other to like a battle of honor and good and evil. Like I loved that stuff. But I realized really I get a lot of my thought process and ability to question information and question, is there a better way to do this? Which is where creativity comes from. Creativity is looking at something and saying, is there a different way? Is there a better way to get this thing, to do this thing, to go about, creating the same result or maybe a different result with the same tools or utensils, maybe just a different organization or order of how you're executing can get you a completely different result. And I developed this through, one, being Jewish, but two, going to Jewish school. And in Jewish school, you do something called learning and reading Torah. Torah is the Hebrew word for the Bible. And as always, you guys, if you have any questions, whether it's about, if you're curious about Judaism, you got questions about Jews or Hebrew in general, like throw them at me, post in the comments, let me know what you guys are curious about. And I'm more than happy to share the information from my experience. Being Jewish is not an across the board similar experience. Yes, when I talk to other Jewish people who grew up Jewish, there's a lot of similarities or things that we share in common from our childhood or those experiences. But it is a unique experience to be Jewish because there's so many different situations, so many different, just like, right, any type of Christianity or religion, there's like different levels of orthodox. And then even in that, there's different interpretations of things. But the difference that I was talking about with in this conversation was in Catholicism or in most types of Christianity, a lot of the rhetoric or the thoughts or the teachings are done in the mindset of this is how it is, believe it. And really the opposite is completely true of Judaism, where from an early age, from 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, in school you are taught to question everything. You're taught to question whether or not the text you're reading is literal. Now, it says that the bush caught on fire, but does that mean the bush really caught on fire? Or let's think about what that might have meant based on the historical and time context, based on the wording used and what that word maybe means today might mean something different than it did 5,000 years ago, right? So there's all these different things that you're taught very, very young to question and to start looking at, oh, maybe there's a different perspective of which this information has been fed through that I have to consider. For example, the fact that 2,000, 5,000 years ago, they didn't know diddly squat about science, right? They didn't know about electricity. They didn't know literally when an earthquake would happen that there's tectonic plates that cause that. They thought it was God. That was the only possible explanation they had to keep themselves sane. When the earth was shaking and rumbling, for no reason, out of the blue, they had to come up with some explanation. Now, does that mean that the information is useless? No, there is still an incredible amount of value that can be gotten from that text and, from the Torah and from studying it and learning it. It's not just what's written in it. It's about the process of studying it that makes you better. And I think that that's something I learned from a really early age. It's not the goal. It's not knowing the Torah. It's learning the Torah that really brings value into your own life. I got my sweet TikTok cup, you guys. TikTok's awesome. They send me all these sorts of gifts. All right. I'm going to give a couple shout outs. You guys are freaking awesome. We got the comments popping in. Maureen, how's it going? Liddell. Oh, Liddell, you love Redwall? So dope. I rarely ever meet people who have heard of the Redwall series. I've read probably 10 of the books. I don't know how many there are now. If you guys are interested, Redwall is a series by what's his name? Jean-Jacques Rousseau, something like that. If someone knows the name of the author, post it in the comments. I'll read it out. But there's probably like 20, 30 series of these books. They all mesh together, just like Star Wars as a series has many, many books. They all somewhat relate to each other. There is somewhat of an order, but you can also read them randomly. It's an amazing, amazing series. If you want to help develop your imagination to any level, I highly suggest checking it out. It's a low reading level, so like you don't have to be a fast reader or good with reading. It's probably, I'd say, a 6th to 8th grade reading level. So it's quite easy, but it's just really enjoyable storytelling, really, really great writing in terms of imagery and helping you visualize. So I think, visualization, we all know, is incredibly powerful in business. If you struggle with that in any capacity, I highly suggest finding some probably lower level age reading books that are very imaginative. And you absolutely will develop more visualization skill set and capability. What is up? Is it Phelan or Phelan Schiltz? Shout out to you. What's up, Tim? Tim's grateful for his family, but more immediately for the lessons he's learned in the stock market that paid off today. Hell yeah. Glad you made your money. Get your bag, boo-boo. That is awesome. Rachel, I'm doing amazing. Thank you so much. And you're grateful for me. I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for all of you guys watching right now. In general, you guys, I am just incredibly grateful for my life. I really, really struggled with being happy for the first 20 years of my life. Really struggled. Was not happy ever consistently. Had happy days, had happy moments, but was not a happy person. And I'm just so grateful that I was, for whatever reason, circumstances, had enough motivation, stuck with working through it long enough to the point where I am absolutely a happy person. I love everything in my life. Yes, I have obstacles and I have some days where I come across some emotional problem because something's bothering me or something comes up, but I just have that grateful skill set developed to know that I can reverse any type of bad feeling within myself immediately by being grateful for something I have. And I have so much to be grateful for that I can immediately look at any given time. I have my house that I'm in right now. I have this kind of cool background wall, right? Like, it's pretty dope. By the way, it's wallpaper. It is not a real brick wall. People ask me sometimes. I have a cool headset. Like, I've got all this cool technology and equipment. I have my dogs. I have awesome food in my fridge. And again, from being someone who was homeless at one point, where I was I was so hungry, went more than 24 hours at a time regularly without eating any food. And then when we did get to eat, it was like one McChicken each. I got a McChicken and Ben got a McChicken because we had $2.50 to spend. So I'm just so incredibly grateful for all of the things that I have that make my life comfortable, that make my life something that I have the ability to really decide what I'm doing with. When I was homeless, I didn't have a lot of control over where I could go, over what I could do, over anything that I could put my energy into, because I just had to survive. And when you have to put so much of your energy into surviving, it takes away from a lot of the appreciation and gratefulness that you can have for life. So I am just incredibly grateful to be where I am now, living every day, getting to share everything that I've been through, because there's so much value. I mean, there's been so much value to me, right? So I know there's value to other people out there who are going to get something out of my journey and my experiences and me sharing them. I am doing amazing. What's up, Latasha? I hope you're having a great day. We also got Chaya in the house. What is good? Chaya is grateful for her friends who showed up to her virtual birthday party. Happy birthday, Chaya. That's amazing. My birthday, you guys, it's coming up in 5 days, May 25th. Be there or be square. I don't know what that means, but it's a great thing to say. That almost went down the wrong pipe there. We got Sai Fani, who's grateful that he has a paying job right now. Absolutely. I think there's been a really cool perspective shift for a lot of people who maybe kind of hated their jobs or felt like ungrateful for the, when I don't like this job, so I'm not going to put in my maximum to it. And now that they've realized, wow, I'm actually in a fortunate position where so many people lost their jobs. I think, probably a good example is grocers or the grocer clerks, right? There's probably a lot of people who work in grocery stores who before this pandemic really hated it, but through the pandemic had this appreciation of, I'm one of the only people that gets to keep my job at this kind of level of work. Like, that's amazing. And I know that a lot of people who work at my local grocery store they've always been super nice and friendly, but you can tell that they're really grateful to have their jobs and to be able to continue their lives without the interruption that everyone else is experiencing, right? Like, interruption is something difficult to deal with. And having the freedom to not have to adjust in that particular way or format, I think is absolutely something to be grateful for, even outside of the job itself. Kyle asks, damn, you were homeless? Yeah, you guys, I started up my first business, 2K diffuser beads, where we took airsoft BBs, bought them in these, didn't start out, but ended up buying them in these big 250,000 bead bags that were about 80, 90 pounds each. And we repackaged them into jars that were 500 beads each. We had a big size that was like 3,000 jars, but almost all the ones we sold were 500 jars each. And we threw a cool label that I whipped up with my graphic design skills, because after that, we had a graphic design business. And we started up that entire business while we were living out of an RV with our 2 dogs, Shep and Hershey at the time. And we had no money. So we were putting all of our extra money. I was doing some side freelance gigs in terms of copywriting. I had been able to sustain us completely with full-time copywriting freelance before our gas explosion that we were in. So bring it back a little bit. I was homeless. What threw me into homelessness was I was in a gas explosion in the house that I was renting. Me and my husband were cooking at the stove. We were naked because we were young and in love. And like, what's more fun than cooking naked when you're young in love and don't have to leave the house? So we were doing that, and just boom, like that explosion to the point like concussive blast backwards. It happens so quickly. You don't know what happened. You just know it was bad because it's very loud, right? Bang! The windows got blown out, and all over the house, all the windows got blown out. And you don't realize that you're hurt at first, because shock actually prevents your brain from processing any pain signals. So you don't know what's happening because you don't feel hurt, but you're confused and scared, right? Because something like your body knows it was bad, and your brain knows that it's bad. So we were in this awful kind of concussive gas explosion. I got minorly burned. We both went to the hospital. My husband, Ben, he was more severely burned, was in the ICU for a little bit, ended up having to stay there, 7 to 10 days, just healing before we could go back home. And that whole experience threw me out of work. I was not working at all during this time. I was just going to the hospital every day to be with Ben, trying, to make him feel feel better. Like in addition to our bodies feeling like shit, emotionally, we literally had blown up our lives. Our lives were going great. I had this awesome freelance writing job that I was doing like full time. We were making good money, didn't have to worry about anything, we're able to have 2 dogs, like living out of our house. It was chill. It was awesome. Like a young person's kind of like little fantasy. And we blew it up and we didn't have anything prepared for it. We didn't have money saved. We didn't have renter's insurance. Like we were stupid, you guys. So this was really just emotionally difficult for us to get over. And with all of these setbacks, we still were able to start a successful business. So no matter what disadvantages you think you have right now, I promise you, you also have advantages that will allow you to create something from absolute nothing. Whether those advantages are skills, experience, knowledge, or character traits, you have leverageable advantages that you can turn nothing into value, into something. And I encourage all of you who are in a place of somewhat despair, of being discouraged, to look to yourself and really think about how do you feel about yourself and find those special things about you and start diving into them, leaning into them a little bit more. And that's where really, really amazing things in my life have come from, is blocking out the noise, looking inside at me and following something that my brain, that my intuition, that my gut is telling me there's something there. Follow your something there intuition, because it doesn't come from nothing. It comes from the incredible, incredible perceptiveness of the subconscious of your brain, which is the 95% of your brain power that's working at any given time. Oh, Robert is grateful for hitting the 1 million in sales mark for the year. What? You guys, I love it. If you ever have any financial wins, definitely post them in my comments, because I love giving financial wins shout outs. You guys, I think we should all love money more. I love money. I know most of you guys love money, but the way that we talk about money is not very nice for something that we love. We kind of shit on money and don't care about money's feelings, but money is awesome. It is a tool that helps us accomplish all of our dreams. Money helps us be more kind and generous to other people because we don't have to be worried and stressed out about our situation. I think that money is really a wonderful thing. So I'm super happy for you. Also, super proud of the amount of work that must have gone in to you reaching that goal. You guys, you don't just fall upon $1 million in sales. That takes an incredible amount of work. And I just want to give a huge, huge props to you, man. All right, guys. So again, just to recap, I'm going to wrap this up right now. Basically, again, why I think being Jewish has helped me in a significant capacity growing up, and how I think just the information could help you guys, is Judaism taught me to question everything. And you should be questioning everything all the time. Is this the best idea? Where is this information coming from? Who is this information coming from? What types of biases or perspectives are going to shift or change that information compared to if I was the first person experiencing that and delivering it? There is so much to question in this world. In our perspective, anyone's perspective is only one out of a million, a billion, a trillion possible perspectives. And the more that we're able to see things from multiple perspectives, the more that we're able actually to make good decisions, to make decisions and create things that are differentiated and really have an added level of value that no one else is delivering. And at the same time, allow us a level of happiness, because we get to explore, we get to learn, and we get to have some control over our decision making that feels much more in control than when you're making decisions from one perspective. As much as that can sometimes feel like a fake control, you're like, I've committed to this one perspective, it controls me. That's not a good way to live. You want to be in control of your decisions at all times, so much to the point where if you got new information, you'd be 1,000% willing to completely change your opinion and perspective. If you're not someone who's comfortable with this, I would definitely suggest you look internally at maybe why, because it is one of the best tools and things that a human being can do, is take new information and make a completely different decision based based off that new information than anything they've ever done. You guys do not have to do things based off what you've already done before. There's no commitment of your character. There is no tying of who you are to what you've done. Who you are has nothing to do with what you've done. Instead, it has everything to do with the decisions you're making in this moment. And yes, your past is always going to have some play into what decisions you're making now because you reference your past. Your brain is going to use your past as some amount of data. But there's tons of other data that you have access to with this incredible machine that is your brain. And because of that, you should really consider things that have nothing to do with the past and have everything to do with the current and valid and new information. All right, guys, that is everything that I have to share for today. Tomorrow, we do have another guest. Let me look up real quick so I can see the name of the guest, get you guys all pumped up and excited. It is going to be Raquel Pacutz. I am very excited for this guest. You guys are just going to have to wait till tomorrow to see what we're talking about, but you guys know that I bring very diverse, interesting guests every time, and I hope to see you guys there. If you got any value out of this, please share. That is what you guys have all been commenting. Share this post. That means the world to me, and I hope you have a wonderful night. See you tomorrow.